Do I have to actually click it? Okay, well I've just clicked go live. Okay. Alright, so on my other computer I'm going to be watching live now.
Well, I have to actually click it.
Let's turn that volume off.
Okay, well I've just clicked.
They also won't know you just said that. Hello, welcome to Clamp. Oh. That shouldn't... Yeah, let me...
Oh. That shouldn't.
Yep. Well, desktop audio is on. Nothing's been changed from yesterday either. I think it's using the wrong... You know what? I think my computer's using the wrong thing. Yeah. Microphone.
I think it's using the wrong. You know what? I think my computer's using the wrong thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've changed my microphone, right?
I think it's using the wrong.
Yeah, my bad. I'm just trying to see if we can hear you guys. Alright, that didn't fix that. Because what do you're...
Well, we are going to keep talking. Me or Morley are going to keep talking until somebody says we can hear us. We did a test on this yesterday and got all the kinks worked out. And so that made sure for sure that we would be not able to do it tonight without problems. That's what the guarantee was by doing it yesterday.
So Patrick says getting...
Yesterday and got all the kinks worked out. And so that made sure for sure that we would be not able to do it tonight without problems.
So Patrick says getting. Hearing Grant now, and now he's saying Grant is coming through with a terrible echo.
Yeah, that was the issue we had before. Yeah, that's the problem with the echo.
Hearing Grant now, and now he's saying Grant is coming through with a terrible echo.
Yeah, that was the issue we had before.
Oh yeah, sorry. I forgot to mute it. Morley also just changed size on me. Okay, so I've muted the 3 NDIs, and then there's the desktop, which we worked out was what we're meant to use, and then that's me. Yeah, but then no one will be.
What I think it was hearing, like the desktop audio.
Let's see if that
when
just
I'm
works.
talking.
All right. We might have gotten it. Can people hear me? Grant, you try talking as well.
And can people hear me? And hopefully we'll get that. This is if anyone wants to join Patreon, this is what you're missing out on.
Oh boy. All right. WB fine working. Just said.
Yeah, everything's
no
all
audio.
fixed. Yeah, everything's all fixed.
It is.
Yep.
Everything's all fixed now.
That's
it.
I just
Yes.
unmuted. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, everything's all good.
Yay!
I changed the desktop audio input to the speakers rather than default, and that fixed it.
Perfect. Yay!
All right, cool.
All right. Let's get it.
All right. Now we can finally start.
Let me stop sharing my
Quick sip of
screen
water.
so you guys can see me. Now, quickly before we move on, does anyone know? Is there a way that I can make you both on Skype? You know how it brings up the little box when you minimize it? Is there a way to bring it up so it's both of you?
No.
I don't think so.
It goes to speaker view.
Oh, why does Morley keep changing size?
I'm a ghost.
Oh, size. Yeah. Not.
Yeah, I can see.
Don't worry about it.
There we go.
Let's just go.
Let's see if that works. All right.
All right. I need a better way to hold this.
People are here to chat with us.
All right.
Yeah.
Do we want to get going? Let's do the intro.
Yeah. All right. So you'll play the theme music, and then I'll kick it.
Yep.
Can I kick it?
I'll say go when the intro's finished. All right.
Grant, you didn't respond. Can I kick it?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
All right. Ready, Morley?
Wait, did you play it? Are you playing it?
It just played twice.
Okay.
Go.
I don't know if it did. Oh, no, I see it on YouTube now. All right. Oh, yeah, there's a delay. All right. Hello, and welcome to Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm your host, Morley Kurt, and joining me as always is Grant Alexander.
Hello.
And Adam Mackey.
Hello.
Thank you, everyone who is watching on the YouTube live stream. If you're not watching right now, this episode, well, you will be listening to it after it was published on Buzzsprout, so you already know the answer to that. Yeah, this is our 52nd episode, our 1-year anniversary. Apologies for the technical difficulties for people in the YouTube live stream, but we think we got it all figured out now. But if anything seems to stop working, please let us know, because we can't hear it. We can only hear each other. But on that, what are in your clamps this week? Adam, what have you been working on?
Ooh, I actually got a video out for once. Which is pretty exciting. Yeah, I got I put out a puzzle video with my son, which anyone who follows us knows that I started recording that like a year ago and cut out the dinosaurs, and they've been sitting in my garage for a year, and yeah, finally got them cut out, which was awesome. My son loved it, and like using the spiral blades for the scroll saw was so good.
Nice.
Yeah, that definitely looked like something I need to look into.
Yeah, no, it was really good. As I had to help him a little bit because, like, you know, the scroll saw likes to lift the wood and stuff, and he kept like not holding it down. But other than that, like, he did so well, and like I feel confident that I can, like, once he learns to hold the wood down, I reckon he could use the scroll saw by himself, which I think is pretty cool.
Sweet. Well, this week we got a new laser at the Steam project. We went to go visit the guy who was selling it last week, and things moved pretty quickly there. And I found out that it was getting delivered a couple days ago. And so a bunch of the past 2 days has been spent getting it set up. So it is on the laser tube. It says it's 118 watts, but in reality, that's more like 100 watts of usable power. And the bed is just under 5 feet wide and 3 feet deep. It's massive. It's absolutely gigantic. That's just the bed size. That's not the size of the actual machine, which is about 4 feet tall. And it is amazing. Yeah, we were doing some test cuts and getting the chiller set up. It's because we've pivoted so much during the pandemic into creating kits and doing a lot of manufacturing. It's going to be like an absolute game changer. And it's cool because I think it's going to allow everyone to come up with projects they might not have thought of before, just because we were only dealing with a 24 by 12 inch bed before on the epilogue. So now it's not just that we can cut bigger things out faster. It's that we might be able to do laser cutting projects with larger pieces and thicker materials that we didn't even think of before. And so that's very fun. And also at work, we've kind of switched gears to prepare for the summer. So the other head staff are now at the makerspace each day, and it's really exciting. Like, I went to summer camp for 8 years as a camper, and then I spent 1 year as a CIT, and then 2 summers ago working at the lodge was a very campy experience. So I'm super pumped to like have this camp experience again. And we spent like hours today just like brainstorming and thinking about like the overall goals for the summer, and before we kind of dive deep into the mission. And we have a solid 2 months of staff training ahead of us, so we really want to make sure that like we're putting in the time to make it like an amazing summer for these kids, many of whom are probably feeling super cooped up and really just want to like get out and do stuff and make stuff. So it's exciting. I'm hoping that the summer is allowed to go as planned, although last summer they still were able to, and just with you know, day camps existing as daycare for many families, we don't really foresee that the government would go ahead and close day camps just because of how much backlash there would be. But we'll see. We're planning on everything running, and that's all we can do. So work has been busy and fun the last few days, but outside of work, I finished up the kerf bent chair that I've been working on, and I'm really happy with how that came out. It's nice to do a wooden chair, not a cardboard one this time. So that was, go on.
It looks a lot more comfortable than the cardboard chair.
I think they're both comfortable, to be honest. Like the cardboard chair, we actually have a blanket over it right now, which kind of softens it out a little bit, but the shape is very ergonomic. The wooden chair doesn't have a back, so, you know, it's like different criteria.
I think have you ever gotten a cardboard paper cut? Or cardboard cut, I guess?
I've gotten paper cuts. It might have been with cardboard. Can't quite remember specifically.
when I see a cardboard chair like that, all I think is like, for some reason, like sitting down on it with a pair of shorts and like being destroyed, like everywhere that skin touches. So I don't know. A blanket over it, I think, would make it way more comfortable.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's enjoyable, and Penny really likes it now. She's like kind of claimed it as her own. She'll like, because of her cerebellar hypoplasia, she kind of like spreads her legs out to get stable, and she'll like claim it as her own. Yeah, so I started working on the video for the chair, the other chair, the Kerf bent chair, which I'm having a lot of fun with. I'm definitely drawing some inspiration from Andrew Zito and just how much fun he has with some of his edits, especially with some of this music I found. It's kind of reminding me of some of his recent videos. So I'm very excited to put that out. Yeah, and that's what I've got going on this week. What about you, Grant? What is in your clamps?
Well, this week I finally finished putting finish on all of the drawers, and I will say it took forever. I would think like I started this project over a year ago, but in reality the project started in 2016. But my segue is that it's taken a year. So we should probably just reflect on other things that have taken a year.
Yeah. A lot has taken a year. I feel like I've lived many changes this year. I think, like I've said before, like Scott Galloway in his book Post-Corona, his kind of perspective is that COVID has accelerated everything. And I think it has accelerated a lot of things, and it's made me, having the opportunity this past year to take time not working full-time for someone else was a really good experience. Like, I am happy I'm doing it now, but when I was driving to work today and I was thinking about, I had started editing the video this morning, and I was thinking like, oh, it's, I just really wanted to continue doing it. And I was thinking back to last year when I wasn't working for anyone else and I could just go to a cafe, this was pre-COVID, and spend all day editing. And I was like, yeah, that's just not an option right now. Number one, because I can't go to a cafe. And number two, just because I am working during the day. And so, like, I'm happy where I am right now in this job, and I'm like, I feel very lucky that I was able to have that opportunity to really like take some time and work on my own stuff and reflect. And it was a nice experience. And it's cool. I feel like, it's like when you look back on a vacation you had as a kid, like you didn't really appreciate it in the moment as much as you do when you look back and you're like, wow, I'm never going to have that experience again. Like, that specific experience is now gone, and all I have is the memories and the lessons learned from it.
Totally. And man, relating it to like family vacations, because as a kid, one year we went from like our home in Kingston all the way out east to like every single province except for Newfoundland, and then the next year we went all the way out west to all the provinces up out to BC. So we literally drove like almost coast to coast. We didn't quite make it coast to coast. And at the time, I like hated it. But when I reflected back, I really like it just seemed like way too much. Like I remember like spending 16 hours driving in the car. Like that's a long time to drive in a car as a kid. In a two-door car, mind you, like a two-door. My dad always bought two-door cars. So we had a two-door car with 3 kids in the back, right? 2 adults in the front, and we're like, jammed to the gills. Like the trunk is full, the trailer is full. We have like our sleeping bags are in the like wheel well or the footwells, like, and you have your pillow on your lap, and you got 3 kids in the car. It's just so ridiculous. But I think back on it, like when you think back on it, I really enjoyed those trips. And when I think back over the last year, I know if someone would have told me how much work this podcast would have been, I probably would have said, no, thank you. That's too much, right? That's a lot of work. I don't know if I could do that. Like if you add up all the time, spending recording, thinking about the show, strategizing, coming up with thumbnails, trying to get engagement, reading up on how to do different things about your like promoting a podcast, just all that work. And I go, I probably wouldn't have done it, but now I look back on it and it was like one of those great experiences because of, all these people that we've met, all these, whether we met them through the podcast, there are lots of those, and others that joined us along the way that we already knew.
Yeah. And, sorry, Adam, before you go, I just wanted to say, like, I think that's true with most experiences that take work. I think when you start out, it's very rare that you accurately anticipate like how much work it's going to be. And I think that's like most things I've done. If I were to think of it looking back, I'd be like, wow, I would never do that if I knew what it was going in. And it reminds me of like when we'd be in a really intense training period in track. Like we'd be just like doing really hard workouts every day, and you'd be finishing up a workout, and like, you've crossed over the hump and you're down the other side and you're hurting, and the thought enters your head of, oh my God, I'm going to have to do this again tomorrow. But you can't think that. Like, you can't allow yourself to think that. You just have to make yourself forget, because if you think that way, you'll lose all motivation and like willingness to do anything. You kind of have to forget. And humans are pretty good at that, right? Like if something has a good outcome, we're pretty quick to forget all of the pain that went into it. It's our productive selves on the inside.
I wish I could tell that to myself years ago. Like we've talked about this before, I even now I struggle with like eating properly and stuff, and I've just a year later I would be like, well, if I started a year ago. But yeah. I can't believe we've been doing this for a year. To me, it does not feel like a year to me. And yeah, like the community and the people that we've met, like, so good. We love you all.
Yeah. Well, so you're saying like, you wish you had started a year ago, and like for the eating healthy. And I was actually having a conversation with a colleague of mine at work today about exactly that, where he went, he knows people that at the start of the pandemic made a plan, said, I'm going to get in shape. I have this extra time. I'm not commuting, whatever. I'm going to take that time and I'm going to transform myself into a better version of myself. And he knows other people who gained 100 pounds during the pandemic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that like took all that, like any amount of exercise they got by having to walk to the bus is gone now, and they look like it. Like, yeah. And I know I'm one of those people, but I've somehow kept my boyish figure. But I do think it's like, I think Andy Pugh is the one who told me, like, what's the best time to plant a tree? And he said, like, 40 years ago.
Exactly.
And the second best time is today.
Yeah.
And it's really any time in the past is the best time to have planted a tree. Yeah. Any time in the past is the best time to have started a good habit or quit a bad one. But the second best time is now.
Yeah, for sure. Tinkering Rocks asked, do you guys have any plans for a canoe camp or crafts plan for this summer?
I would like to go camping. I think finding the time is going to be a little difficult because, working at this camp, it is Monday to Friday, but it's going to be pretty full on Monday to Friday. And then if I want to do any making on my own on the weekends, it's going to be a hectic summer for sure. So we'll see what happens. But we'll make the time. And the campsites are getting booked up quick though in Ontario because everyone really just wants to get out of the city.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Like Morley is like learning what it's like to not have time.
Yeah. No, honestly, this is I'm definitely having my beginning of my adult life.
I'm actually a little bit excited. So every year for Mother's Day, which I don't know if it's the same for you. I don't think it's the same for you guys, but it's for us. It's the second Sunday in May, or the first. I don't know, but it's next weekend. We go away to 4 hours south of me. It's called the Blue Mountains, and it is one of the only places that snows in Australia. Oh. It is ridiculously cold. Like, it'll be like 0 degrees, probably most days. But yeah, so we go up there for the weekend, and
Great, Adam, you're talking to two Canadians.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm talking to the chat as well. Thank you.
That's true.
Anyway, and this is the first year that I've been on holidays for it. Usually, I like go straight after work, sort of thing, and all that sort of stuff. But it's also the first year where I've like started making my Instagram more personal. So I'm excited to actually, like, there's so many views and stuff up there to actually like get some content for Instagram and take my camera and actually try and get some like nice shots of the landscape and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we were meant to go. Sorry, go on.
Maybe you can make something along the way and make it into like a little video.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know if you watched like Made by Mary Lou, but she just put out a little travel blog video where she went to Zion National Park in Utah, which, by the way, looks amazing, and I want to go there now.
I've been to Zion. Zion is incredible. So, I haven't watched Mary Lou's video yet, so I don't know if she went there. But Angel's Landing in Zion National Park literally feels like the floating... oh, okay.
Happy birthday, Clampcast!
Oh, wow.
Wow. Thank you. You can't hear us, but thank you.
Made you cupcakes. I can't hear.
So we all said thank you.
We all said thank you, but you can't hear us.
Eden, what kind of cupcakes are these?
They're chocolate cupcakes, and I will make them again when I see you in person. You can eat them not super stale.
Thank you. You know what's funny?
Blow it out. See, we don't have to do COVID blowouts because it's just the two of us.
What's a COVID
Let me
blowout?
get back to it.
So, like, you know, blowing out candles on cake these days is not really smiled upon. We've actually done this at work. So, like, there's been a few birthdays, and so they put a candle in the cake. So we've just been fanning out the candle, like, with our hands, because you don't want to blow over the food.
Do what they do at, like, kids' parties and put cling wrap over the cake before we put the candles on.
Oh, I've never seen that. That's smart.
Yeah.
So I was saying, Angel's Landing, it feels like the floating islands in Avatar. You know, like all those like floating kind of, I don't know what they are, islands. It's incredible. It is like magical feeling. I went to the Grand Canyon and Zion both on the same trip, and the Grand Canyon is definitely like the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life, but Zion is like crazy beautiful.
Well, so one tip I will give is plan out if you want to do it, because it's the same problem I had with the like Morley and me camping trip, is that I didn't plan enough of what I wanted as shots. Like when you're going to do this, you're going to be so like trying to take everything in. So think about it ahead of time so that you don't miss out on some good footage if you plan on doing something like that.
Yeah.
Or just enjoy it.
Right. Well, like, yeah, if you want to enjoy it. Don't do one or the other. Don't try, like, if you end up trying to do both at the same time, you'll end up with a half-enjoyed trip and a video that doesn't quite have enough stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I got some carving tools the other day, so maybe I'll take them with me and try and film something.
Yeah.
But if I do, it'll probably just be Instagram.
Nice.
But on that, I actually got a handful of tools for free a couple of days ago. I got a drill press, a bandsaw, a linisher, and a few planes.
What is a linisher?
Like a not a linisher, the metal, the band sander, like the like a bench grinder, but it's got a belt.
A belt sander?
Belt sander, yeah. That's what I meant.
A linisher. Whoa.
Yeah, and I got I think it's a number 5 hand plane. It's like really long. Which,
Nice. So what was the how did this happen? What's the story?
Well, so my wife's auntie has a I guess you could say boyfriend, but like they're pretty much married. But he's getting old now and has no use for it all, and he's cleaning out his house to sell it. So said, come and grab some tools.
Wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Sweet.
so pretty stoked about that. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Sounds like something you were up to this week.
Yeah.
Could have been in your
I
clan.
really just remembered about it. The carving tools, because he gave me some carving tools. But like the bandsaw and the what was the other thing I got? The drill press aren't really that crash hot. Like they're just like tabletop ones. I'll probably end up getting rid of them. But the belt sander is like a really expensive one, so definitely be keeping that.
Belt sanders is definitely something I'm am envious of other people's shops and having. So I've been working on this wooden geared clock at the makerspace to hang in there, and it's a lot of gluing laser cut layers together and then belt sanding them flush, and it's just such a handy tool. Like the bench, I don't know if there's a different names for the benchtop belt sanders or the ones that you use to like sand a hardwood floor, but I'm talking about the benchtop one. Just so useful.
I always thought it was called a linen shop, but okay.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe in Australia.
Maybe.
Yeah. That and a drill press. I could see feasibly adding those to like an apartment workshop because they don't make a crazy amount of noise, as long as you have a way to like catch the dust. Or a lathe as well.
Yeah, it is called a linen shop.
All right. I'm glad we got that figured out.
No, but yeah, I've wanted one for a while because I actually have plans to make a sword. But I'm going to be making it out of wood, and that's going to help me dramatically in shaping the blade and that.
I have never ever heard the term linisher, but if I Google that, it comes up with belt grinders and belt sanders. So
yeah, there you go.
It must be true. So, okay, I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
What's your favorite episode? And while you guys think about it,
I've
I've already been thinking about it. Yeah, I've already been thinking about it, so I'm going to steal probably the one that might have been yours. I think my favorite episode was Barriers to Clamping, where we discussed, according to Morley's show notes, we talked about getting out of our own way. I remember that one as being just like, I don't know, had a good like discussion about how we think and why we make, and maybe some ways that might have been helpful. Maybe in the chat, people in the chat, if you want to let us know what your favorite episode was.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, I'm thinking. It's funny, like looking back I'm scrolling through Apple Podcasts now, trying to look at them, and some of them kind of blend together. It's like we've had this like one continuous conversation over the last year that we're like interrupted with guests every time to time, and other than that, it's just we just kind of keep going. Yeah, Adam, go for it.
I'm gonna say my favorite's probably the soldering clamps. I like it when we just talk crap.
Yeah.
I mean, I like having a topic and having something to talk about, but it's nice to just have a chat every now and then.
Actually, so I've liked like the pressures of productivity and like some of those other sort of like mental health ones. I thought those were really good and were definitely very thought provoking. But I really enjoyed the Overclamped, Underclamped episode 38. That was like a lot of fun, and I feel like we got like hit on like a lot of interesting topics throughout it. Like we talked about like all like fads and stuff. I kind of like those more like topical in the moment things. So that was a lot of fun.
So you and Adam kind of get together. It's the one that we don't really, we have a topic, but it's not really a topic. Interesting. Yeah. Also, we got Devin is saying that one with Jimmy was a good episode.
Yeah,
I agree. Jimmy is a good one. He's definitely got some great advice. Like I remember, being nice is free.
Yeah.
Like that's just good advice to live by, whether or not I do it.
It's interesting, like when you think back to those little nuggets of just things that people say, even if they don't say it with a lot of importance, that really stick with you. And you're like, did you ever think about like, I wonder if that person thought about like how important what they said to me was? I was thinking about that recently with some advice I've been given throughout my life.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So Dead Rise Woodcrafts asks, how many estimated adult beverages has Grant consumed while recording over the last year?
Right. So my question to him was just during the podcast, or while I was also recording, like.
I think he means during the podcast.
Okay. So it's on average 4. Well, it's probably on average 3.
I'm going to say like 250 then. Because I'm sure there's times you've had more.
So I just need to get a... Well, it's like, what's 51 times...
Oh, wait, no.
3.
Yeah, it's about 150, 175.
Yeah.
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 All right.
That's just...
Yeah.
That's not that many.
Yeah.
Jacob from other...
Over a year?
Jacob from Other Dog Design says, we need some of Eden's Morley impressions this episode.
All right, I'll call her in later on, or when she ducks in, I'll ask her to give some Morley impressions.
How about we get her in for the after show? And if anyone hasn't noticed, though, with the live stream, is that you're getting the pre-show and after show for free.
Yeah. So I'll get her in at about 10. One of our favorite games to play, other than Spit, which is always a battle royale, is...
Hang on. What is Spit? You need to explain that.
Yeah.
Neither of you know Spit? Oh my gosh, that is like...
Is
one
it
of the
family
biggest
friendly?
Yeah, no. It's just a card game. I can't believe it. That's like one of the biggest games for my life. So you split a deck of cards in two, and then you kind of lay out cards in front of you, and you have 2 columns in the middle, and you're basically laying cards in sequential order, and basically like whoever runs out of cards first slaps the deck, and you want to end up with the least amount of cards. It's like a playing cards and slapping game. It's about like speed and dexterity and thinking quickly, and it's always like a close race. Did you guys play that game, or did you call it something else?
Slap.
Yeah.
Okay. So other than slap, which we both call Spit, we like to play Who Am I? And the answer is always Penny, and it's just different impersonations of Penny. Because she is our main source of entertainment over the last year. Actually, so going back to the topic a little bit, over the last year, I cannot imagine not having gotten Penny about a year and a little bit ago. Just because being in our apartment so much with each other, she just makes life like so much better. Like, yes, she gets us up in the middle of the night sometimes, she scratches us sometimes, but just to have this like loving, sentient being that just like is always playful, always curious, is really great in a pandemic. And outside of a pandemic.
Yeah. Well, it's the same when you
Definitely
have
in a
kids.
pandemic.
You forget what life was like before you had them.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true. So thinking back over the year, another thing to think about is I definitely didn't utilize the extra time I had that I thought I would. Like the first bit of the pandemic, like the first 2 months of the pandemic, I was getting stuff. My productivity was insane. I was doing stuff that had been like on the to-do list, like just checking. Like the to-do list was actually growing shorter for a little bit. And then, the pandemic really kept going. Or like, it's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be 2 months. It's going to be a little longer. We don't know. The summer started looking good. That's when Morley and I met in real life. It was like Australia level cases where you could actually go everywhere without a mask, basically. Well, they still did masks, but and then it just got worse and worse, and now we're at like the worst part of the worst, but
Slightly less worse than last week.
Yeah, well, okay, we're finally starting to round a corner. We do have, like, in Canada, we got 30% of people got their first shot.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny, like, so I'm at work, we exist in this little bubble in that, like, we're planning for the summer, and COVID is always a consideration and it affects everything. But it's not front of mind in the same way when you're like working from home in your own apartment and you're like looking out the window. It kind of feels like slightly removed from that. And then you listen to the news going home and like hearing about like COVID and everything else. So it's this kind of strange juxtaposition this past couple of weeks between those two kind of different vibes. Just like depending on like where you are spending your time it feels like the situation of the pandemic feels very different. Like I remember, so last week in Ontario, or 2 weeks ago now, they announced like a very strict stay-at-home order, and the next day I went and had to like walk to the pharmacy or something, and I went to like the main street around here, which is called Bloor Street in Toronto, and you could feel the tension on the street. You could feel that people were angry, and like parents were scared, like they were calling their kids in, like, you know, they're like out playing, they're like, honey, you can't play outside, like you're gonna get in trouble. You know, people were having like negative interactions in the street, and it was very strange. And if I hadn't gone on that walk, I probably wouldn't even felt it at all, but it was so palpable. And it's kind of that weird thing of this past year where like everyone has been going, at least for the first time in my lifetime, everyone has been going through like the same experience together. It's like a news item drops and it affects everyone's life and in their interactions in the street the next day. It's very strange.
So true. It's like Adam, you got a completely different experience of the pandemic.
It's weird here. It's like completely non-existent. We have like concerts going on and festivals, and like there's pretty much like no COVID. We haven't had a localized case for like months now. One of my good mates at the gym, he like went to a festival last weekend, was there for 3 days. I saw like videos on Instagram, and like everyone's just like in the mosh pit. No one cares about social distancing, and it's crazy.
So I bought Eden and myself tickets to this. Yeah. Well, I'm flying out tonight. I bought us tickets to this show in Toronto called Illusionarium, which is this kind of like socially distanced magic exhibition. So it's like there's real magicians, and there's also kind of like these virtual reality or kind of projection exhibits about the history of magic. And it was very, very popular in Toronto, and it was originally supposed to start in December and has now been postponed to May. It's been postponed like 5 times. And I got tickets for us to go in April, and it got postponed. And now I'm thinking like, that was the stupidest thing to buy those. Like the show is never going to happen. They're just going to keep pushing it, and then it's just going to get canceled. Like, what was I thinking?
I was meant to go to a concert for my birthday last year, and then COVID happened. And then, because I was meant to go see Metallica as well, and then that got cancelled.
Oh, sick.
They got cancelled because James went into rehab. And then COVID happened, so they couldn't do it the following year when they were meant to.
Yeah.
Like, all I want is to see Metallica before I die.
Like, nice.
Or that's before they die.
Well,
which is more likely.
Well, I don't know.
I am so excited for like live shows and parties. Like that is, I'm chomping at the bit to go like have a fun experience in a big crowd of people. And I think like I thought about before, like I want to go to Burning Man, and now that like COVID has happened, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to go to Burning Man at some point, or at least one of the regional ones.
That would still be on if you were here.
It would be. Not here though.
Right. You know what the difference is in Australia? There's 2 big differences. One, you're an island, right? And so you're much easier to like stop the flow of people.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Where like between Canada and US,
we just have to stop flights. Yeah.
Yeah, like between Canada and US, there's people that live in the US and work in Canada.
Yeah.
Right, so they cross the border every single day. Right, like it's very difficult to tell them like, no, sorry, you can't go to your job anymore. Like they did for a bit, but the other thing is, when you guys got like a small amount of cases, you guys locked down hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like super hard. And took care of it. I wish we had done the same. We did that. I remember. So a year ago, this is like the clamping on COVID too. Feels like, but
well, it's like, what has happened the past year? COVID.
Right. But like a year ago, I remember they did like the first lockdown. I went for a walk, and there was no cars on the road at all. Right. Like that was a lockdown. They were like nobody. You could it felt like I Am Legend. Like level of no one around.
Yeah.
Like, a post-apocalyptic dystopia kind of world. And this last lockdown, it didn't look like anything changed because the rules were so like permissive. It's like they had stuff like construction. If you've any construction go forward as long as they agreed to it starting before a week from now, right? So everyone just started putting up contracts to start today. They gave them a little too much heads up.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving away from COVID a little bit, because I'm
Yes.
sure everyone has heard enough about it in their own lives as well. I think one cool thing that has kind of happened over the past year is I've realized and had lots of experience with, being able to just kind of like get things done in a way that like doesn't really require overthinking. Because I think the constraints of this past year, like you still have goals that you want to get done. You still have projects that you want to get done, and developing like the gumption to kind of get it done no matter what. Like, I'm talking about like I wanted to build such and such, and maybe I would have gone into a makerspace if it wasn't COVID time. But I kind of figured out, I was like, oh, I can probably just cut wood outside of my car on street parking because I see contractors doing it all the time, and just things like that, figuring out like different ways to just kind of get things off the ground. I think everyone's kind of had a lot of experiences with that as well, because people still want to keep creating even though we're in like kind of a modified reality.
Yeah, it's true. People want to keep creating. It's true. You can do a lot, just whatever happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Go on.
Yeah, if you want to do it. It's very easy to find excuses to not want to do something.
Yes.
Right. Like,
and if you have the
go ahead.
And if you have the luxury of working with other people, it a lot of times make it easier to do something because you're all encouraging one another, and lifting a piece of plywood with lifting a piece of plywood with two people is a lot easier than lifting it by yourself. So it just makes all those incremental steps like way easier, that if you have the opportunity to bring some other people into it, in non-COVID times, it's a lot easier. So I guess I'm just saying, I've always in all of my building over the last 4 years or 5 years or whatever, like come up against a lot of roadblocks in just doing things out of a small space and with like limited tools, but like definitely encountering some new roadblocks this year made for like pretty positive learning experiences, and realizing that like you can still get stuff done.
Totally. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you have to have the will.
Yeah. And sometimes that's like the hardest thing to come up with. It's very easy sometimes to just be like, okay, I'm going to put that down for today and do something else. I'm going to just leave it where it lies.
Right. Well, like, I remember putting a 4x8 sheet of plywood on the roof of my car because that's how I needed to get it home, because I needed I went there and I was expecting the panel saw to be not broken, which is stupid. At my Home Depot, it is literally broken 70. It's like a McDonald's ice cream.
I was just
machine.
saying
I could see that.
Brain. I was rushing to unmute.
It's exactly like that, and so I had to put a full 4x8 sheet of plywood on my roof of my car, and guess what? No problem. Got it home. Had the straps. Knew that was going to be a possibility. Like, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I really miss having a truck. I had to get a sheet of MDF for my workbench because the top's MDF, and I took my wife's car. I just got them to cut it up. Thank God the pedal saw was working, and shoved it in the back of that. But I really, it's going to be a struggle. Like, and not just that, but just being able to go get something if I want it. Like, have to like none of us have tow bars anymore, so can't get a trailer at all. And
I think like one good example I can think of is, so I've kind of mentioned it off and on, but I'm going to be building this height adjustable Torah lectern for a synagogue in Toronto. And I'm not actually going to be building it for months, like almost a year. So I haven't really talked about it much in the podcast because nothing has changed in the physical world, just in conversations and design. So it's kind of an intimidating project, though. It's pretty big. There's moving parts, and it can be easy to feel overwhelmed. But when I'm feeling that way, I think back to a year ago now and the things I was able to figure out over that course of time and get done. And it's kind of allowed me to trust myself and know that I will be able to get it done. Even though maybe at this moment in time, it feels a little overwhelming. It's like, oh, I might have to move some big pieces of wood. Oh, I can just rent a U-Haul and move this if I need to. Like, I've had these other experiences of moving throughout the city and getting things done in COVID times. So just continue to apply those lessons, and people get much more done with much less.
Yeah, well, our Bunnings, so your Home Depot, has like free trailer hire if you buy something. But we don't have tow balls, so you get it for like 2 hours, I think. So like we've had to, in the past when we didn't have a trailer, we wanted to get some sand from like somewhere else. So I just went there, bought a piece of wood, got the trailer for 2 hours, got the sand, went home. And people do that all the time. They'll go buy a piece of wood just so they can move house. Like,
yep.
Yeah, it's really good. But as I said, we both don't have tow balls anymore, so yeah.
All right. Well, on that, should we move on to Clampmendations for the week?
Yes.
Clampmendations.
However, before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to our patrons.
Oh no,
Psych.
he's already playing it.
Oh,
You need to visually cue us, Adam.
Sorry.
All right, I'm assuming it's done for then. Before we say our Clampmendations this week, I want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports us on Patreon. We are supremely grateful for everyone over there. Everyone who supports us on Patreon gets access to the pre-show and after show, which everyone who's watching on the YouTube live stream, you'll be able to see anyway, because we're just going straight live to tape, baby. Although the pre-show was mostly just technical difficulties this week, I'm sure the after show will be way more entertaining. Grant, what are you cracking up at?
The pre-show.
Oh, yeah. You will also get a custom embossed leather keychain made by yours truly if you become a patron. And if you would like to learn more about that, you can go to patreon.com/clamp. And if you would like to support the show another way, we always appreciate you sharing it with someone who you think might enjoy our banter, or just leaving us a review, or, yeah, any of those lovely sharing engagement things we very much appreciate. All right. Adam, what do you got this week?
Oh, I'm first. I have a
You're not going to play the Clampmendations thing?
Okay, I'm going to play the Clampmendations thing.
Again.
Clampmendations.
Well, my Clampmendation this week is going to be a video by Nick Zametti. He made a epoxy river table, but it's got it says 10,000 pieces of Lego. I don't believe that though. But it's pretty cool. So like through the river is different scenes made out of Lego, and then they go into a waterfall down into like a big sort of block of Lego, like they've flowed out into there. And there's like a little TV screen in there in the part of the floor and stuff. It's really cool. The only thing I wish he would have done was to actually like fill in the river and that be the table, but he didn't. He left it hollow with the Lego pieces in there and then put a piece of glass over the top. But yeah, no, it looks pretty cool. I remember watching Nick like when he had like 100 subscribers, and he's just blown up since I last saw. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the picture now. I kind of like the fact that he didn't fill in the thing, so then you can move the Legos around.
No, you can't. They're all glued in place.
Oh,
there's epoxy.
Well, never mind.
There's epoxy poured over the top of everything, but just a thin layer to hold everything in place.
Oh, well then.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there. In my Clampmendation this week is something that I've spent probably a little bit too much time on in the last year. Is the video game Hearthstone. So it's a World of Warcraft or Blizzard, it's based on World of Warcraft basically, but it's a collectible card game, kind of like Magic the Gathering. But because it's done on the computer, it can have way cooler things. I know Magic has its own computer thing, but I got out of Magic and said I'd never go back. And, so I play Hearthstone instead. But I've definitely spent a little bit too much time on it in the last year, and I thought that would be one of those things that I could recommend anyone looking for a diversion. Hearthstone is a fun thing, and right now, if you join and you go through the little tutorial levels, they'll give you a free competitive deck, which is kind of nice.
Are we sponsored?
Grant, are you a Hearthstone shill?
I don't want to see the game gone because I've had other games that I really enjoyed that people stop playing, and then all of a sudden it's not fun to play when it's an online game. You need others. So, yes, I am.
One of my good mates has been playing RuneScape every day for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I know, that is commitment.
That sounds like a job. He should retire.
Yeah. All right. My Clampmendation this week. So we have been watching Wild Wild Country, which is not exactly new. I think it's a year or so old, but it is a docu-series on Netflix. It is incredibly well made, and it is about the Rajneeshis, or the Sannyasins, which is a religious group / cult that established a settlement in Oregon in the 80s. And there's a lot of drama around it. There was a lot of legal things that happened, and it is really fascinating, super well made. It's crazy watching it, just how much footage they had from there. It seems like everyone in this community was just constantly filming everything. But it's a crazy story that I'm surprised I never even knew existed. Throughout it, I'm half expecting someone to come on and say psych, this didn't actually happen, like that Undersea documentary from a few years ago. I can't remember what it was called, but everyone got duped into thinking this thing was real, but it was actually fiction. But
have you ever seen Fubar?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's a mockumentary it was a Canadian mockumentary about these anyways, people believed it to be real, but it's Fubar stands for fucked up beyond all recognition. Oh gosh, I just swore.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I just beep it out.
Well,
in the edit, I'll
yeah,
beep
for
it
your
out.
edit.
Yeah.
Effed up beyond all recognition.
I don't fucking
care. Anyways, so yeah, you should watch that. It's a really great mockumentary, and it nice. A lot of people thought it was real.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed some mockumentaries. A Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman. I can't remember the guy who made those, but it's kind of the same creator. What We Do in the Shadows, Taika Waititi from Adam's Neck of the Woods. All really funny. But yeah, Wild Wild Country is super good, especially if you have any interest in cults. It's fascinating. Jacob Doherty, seconds Wild Wild Country, I just read in the chat. Yeah. So that is my Clampmendation for this week. Okay, next
Have you seen the Fire Festival documentary?
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, Christopher Guest. Yeah, that's the creator of Best in Show and A Mighty Wind and Waiting for Guffman. All really good. Okay, so we have a review this week. I was actually watching an accent video before reading this because I wanted to make sure I had this just right. Let me just get a quick sip of water before I start. Sorry if I just coughed into the mic for everyone.
Everyone's used to it, don't worry.
Yeah.
I did see the Noble Viking in the chat. So
Yeah. Maybe he's ready. I apologize if this is offensive, but trust me, I'm doing my best.
I just realized this is the
Okay.
first time that Molly's doing a review, and the person that left the review can hear him stuff up.
Live.
Yeah, live.
Here we go. A great show with cool makers, keeping the mood up while I'm at work or waiting for the train. I binged the whole podcast over the course of 3 weeks and enjoyed every episode. BTW, congratulations to over 50 episodes. Keep it up. Watching your channels motivated me to restart editing my first video, and so, hope you will like it. Thanks so far from Stefan, aka the Noble Viking, sent from Dresden, Germany. So, Dresden is the capital of Saxony, which is in the east of Germany, and apparently they have a very specific dialect. I'm just waiting for what Stefan's gonna say.
Well, you got the like the Hebrew noises in pretty good.
Yeah. So one way I heard it described is that it's a very like loose jaw, compared to other German dialects. I don't know, Stefan, you're in the chat. Tell me how I did.
Yeah. I also want to say that thank you so much, Stefan, that we have motivated you to restart editing your first video like that. That to me is huge, that we can give you that inspiration to get that push forward.
Heck yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Make sure you tag us on Instagram.
All right. Well, before we're not actually going to head out. We're going to keep going for the pre-show, or for the after show rather.
Yeah.
But before we say goodbye to the recorded version, I want to give a big thanks for TF Turning for his great theme music, which I always sing at the beginning of the after show. And if you want to see Grant's beautiful cover art, you can see it on Instagram at Clampcast. You can follow us on Twitter at @TheClampcast for tweets and such. You can also watch the show on YouTube, which as of right now, 16 people are. 16 very cool people. And
you see what Stefan said?
He says, you got it pretty good. I don't speak that accent. Well, it's where you said you were from, so I can only read minds of certain people. And you can also find us at clampcast.com. And as is always put at the end of the Google Doc, but I feel awkward to say, you can never have too many clamps, so don't forget to share this with a friend. So corny.
That's
you can all thank Grant for that, by the way.
Yeah.
No, you can actually thank Billy. Billy's the one from him and I, woodworking or customs, or he changes his name every other week. It's him and I plus some sort of products or thing.
Okay, bye everyone that didn't join us live.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.
I was
Did you
gonna
guys
play the outro,
see
but
me
okay.
take a sneaky bite of cupcake? They're quite good.
You need to go get Eden.
Yeah.
Hang on.
While you go get Eden, I'm gonna play the outro.
All right, she is coming. She said Penny. Oh, you should bring Penny.
All right. Do we have any questions from anyone?
I don't see any questions.
No. Ask questions, guys. So yeah, as I said in the chat, anyone who's watching now gets the after show for free. So make sure you stick around.
All right, Eden, give us your best Morley impression.
In what scenario?
In what you usually hear me talking about on Clamp, let's say.
Oh man.
Or just anything, just whatever comes to mind.
Throw her under the bus.
I feel like most often Morley's just like, I was thinking about this thing, and then I made it, and I've also made like the STL file for it. I made a video, and I've done all these things in like 48 hours, and yeah, what did you do today? I'm like, I got out of bed, and that's about it. I feel like that sums it up pretty well.
I think that you switched your accent and his accent by accident.
It's very possible.
Wait, give us a less flattering one.
Oh man, you're really putting me on the spot here.
Yeah.
Less flattering one. Well, I mean, this was just something that I didn't love when I went out to get my bike the other day and it was just covered in sawdust. Like there was sawdust in the chain. I'm not even sure how you did that. That's not an impression, but that's
Well, how about you pretend to be him putting sawdust in your chain?
I feel like I need to practice that one. I'll get that one ready for the 2-year anniversary.
I'm cutting something, not worried about Eden's bike.
Yeah, I have to say, I'd rather my bike than in the kitchen or our living room or.
Wait, let's think back. What have been some classic times my making has encroached on our living space?
The time when I said no chainsaws in the bedroom.
Oh no, saws in the bedroom.
Hang on. You need to expand on that one. Why say saws in the bedroom, Morley?
Wait, I'll start it and then you continue.
Okay.
So
that's a funny kink.
In Montreal, I had a really small bedroom and I changed my bed so that it went the short way of the room, the long way of the bed went the short way of the room, and I had this old saw that I hung on the wall, and I think we were in bed and the saw fell off the wall and hit Eden.
Yeah, there's that time. The other time I was getting out of bed and I stepped down just onto a circular saw, and I was like, we need to make some ground rules here.
And no knives in bed. That's another.
And
one.
no knives in bed. Yeah.
Oh.
Those are the two kind of
yeah.
ground rules.
Adam and Grant didn't know spit. They call it slap, but I said spit and they had no idea what I was talking about.
Okay.
I'm better at spit than you, right?
Yeah, Morley's also really good at segues, as I'm sure you both know.
Really?
Yeah.
This isn't just a thing in the podcast. This is a thing in our lives.
Yeah. Okay, can I sign off?
Yes.
All right.
Goodbye. Your cupcakes are delicious.
I'm glad you like them.
Yeah, they were really
I can't
good.
wait to have them.
All right.
Morley and I are going to somehow go camping again, and you're going to have to send cupcakes with them if I don't meet you in Toronto somehow.
Yeah, I love it. Adam, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll send a make your own cupcake kit and add water so I can ship it across the world.
You can ship food overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
A bit stale.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, so Patrick Byrne has a Penny question. Was she named before or after she was adopted? So Penny had a name before she was adopted. She was really young, and her name was Muggs, Muggs. That was named by her foster mom. And I think we knew before we got her that we wanted to change it. And then when we were thinking about maybe keeping it if it felt right, but when we picked her up and we had her in the car, we're like, this cat is not a Muggs. So we actually decided on the name Penny on the drive back. We kind of just went through a bunch of names and that one felt right. And then how did the stickers and keychains come to say podcast rather than Clampcast? I don't know.
Well, that is my design choice, is because the clamp is clamping on a podcast. So I wanted it to say podcast so that you knew it was a podcast. If you say Clampcast, nobody knows what you're talking about. If you just say clamp, if it was just a clamp, no one knows a podcast. So if you put podcast in the clamps, you know it's the Clamp Podcast, which the P stands for podcast, and it makes it really difficult anytime I try and tell people to go somewhere and then I say go to Clampcast because it's not podcast. The P stands for podcast, and I hate people say pin number or SIN number or whatever. They say the thing that has anyways. Yes, sorry Patrick, it's just my poor design is why they say podcast.
All right, so Tony Langer, is a grilled cheese still a grilled cheese if you add anything to it? If so, what's the point that it changes? So I'm a big fan of grilled cheese and tomato. And I don't think I've personally added anything more to a grilled cheese than that and still called it a grilled cheese. I feel like once you start adding meat, it is no longer a grilled cheese.
What about bacon? Grilled cheese and bacon. I have those all the time.
I don't think I would call that a grilled cheese. I think I would call that like a bacon and cheese sandwich.
But see, a bacon and cheese sandwich would be bacon, cheese, not grilled.
That's true. Yeah. Well,
So
here's
at
one
what point does it change? If you don't grill it, it definitely changes.
So here's one that I was debating with some friends recently. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes, it is.
Adam, what do you have to say?
Yes. No. It's halfway between a sandwich and a burger.
So is a burger not a sandwich?
Yes.
I don't know.
All right, this is a bad question.
This is a question that Fools with Tools would spend an entire episode discussing, and
Yeah, we're
none
not
of
that
us. Yeah, we're not that good about food. You know what food is? Food is something that goes into my mouth, and that's all I know.
That's sad.
Do you guys have it's probably something different there, but do you guys have Devon? It's like
I don't know
it's
what that
like
is.
processed cold meat, like ham, but like it's I don't know. It's all like pig pieces. Sort of like if you took a hot dog and cut it up into
Bologna.
slices.
Oh, it's like salami or bologna.
Yeah, sort of. It's more of like the context of like the inside of a hot dog or a Frankfurt.
Sounds delicious.
It is. So I have like Devon and cheese toasted sandwiches. They're amazing.
So Jacob says.
Wait. Okay, sorry, go on.
Jacob says to transition to the clam podcast. And
Wait,
it's a podcast all about clams.
I want to answer Stefan's question. He says, would you visit Germany/Europe if you could? Stefan, I really want to visit Germany. That's like one of the top of my list of places to visit. It looks incredibly beautiful. Berlin, it's like one of the only German cities I know anything about, but it seems like a really fun city with tons of culture. Post-COVID, I want to go on like a Germany, Italy, maybe Greece trip. Like Ian and I are definitely going to take a Europe trip in the next few years, and Germany/Italy. I would really like to go to both of those countries.
I would like to go to Europe as well, but I'd probably like to go to Belarus, Poland, and Ukraine to see where my family is from.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Adam?
I want to go to Japan, America, Canada, and Abu Dhabi, which apparently, according to my wife, I say wrong.
That sounds right.
That's what I thought.
I've heard everyone I know who's gone to Japan has like absolutely loved it. It seems like a very, very interesting place.
Yeah, my best mate and his wife went there for their honeymoon. They said it was amazing.
Ooh, Emmett wants to know, any of you thinking going to Maker Central? I guess that's actually happening this year, isn't it? In like, it's the summer? No, I mean, I'm not going this year. Or is it October? Those are very fit men. In well-fitting underwear.
I've never seen that one before.
Anyways, lost my train of thought.
Adam is just ridiculous.
I would like to go to Maker Central eventually. Depending on when it is this year, probably not this year.
I almost went to Maker Central 2 years ago. I looked up the prices and everything, got a place to stay with a friend that I met online. Obviously, I haven't met him in real life. He was like, come stay on my couch. I was like, I'll stay on couches. I don't care. But my wife was pregnant. I think Fletcher was like young. And I had to travel for work like the intervening weeks. So I wasn't going to be home because of work. And I went, I can't really just jump off and run off to Maker Central for a weekend and spend like, an inordinate amount of money for a weekend. Like, for a weekend, $1,000 is a lot of fucking money.
Well, I mean, if I were to go to Maker Central, I would turn it into a longer trip. I would not just go for the weekend.
Right. And that's where I was looking at it like, I'll go for the weekend because I can. But once you put all the money together, it didn't make sense.
That's my problem with going to America. Like if I go to America, I'd want to go like for a month or two. I want to live the culture, not just go for a visit.
So, did you see the question from Just Might DIY? Which I
Where in
assume is
America
JC.
do you want to go?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really know, to be honest. I just want to, I would want to go all over. I definitely want to go to Denver because I want to watch the Broncos play a live game. And I don't know. I'm not really the kind of person that wants to go to Disney World and all that sort of stuff, or Disneyland, whatever it's called.
They're both in America.
Okay, well, I'm more interested in the American culture than anything else.
That is the American culture.
Disneyland.
Yeah, it totally is.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm more interested to see how America lives and all that sort of stuff. Coming from Australia, we grew up watching a lot of American TV and movies and all that sort of stuff. I always said that I should have been American because all I've ever wanted to do is have that college experience and all that sort of stuff, and
You should definitely go visit Dead Rise and see his terrible towel collection. He is a world record holder.
Yeah, right.
He holds the record for most terrible towels. I'm not joking. You can look him up.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say something, but I lost my train of thought. Oh. It was about travel.
Dead Rise just... no, they're not.
Yes, they probably are. Also, they change depending on the year. It's not like you can definitely say one team is better than the other. It really depends on the year, the day, everything.
No.
Okay.
Grant, you can't make that argument with a sports fan.
Yeah.
Right. I can because I'm not one.
That's how I know you're not one.
Right. It's like when I listen to Bill Burr talk about betting on sports, and he's like, and I bet on the Patriots. It's not because I think that they're going to win. It's because I can't bet against them. And I go, well, that's the difference between a winner and a loser when it comes to sports betting, right? I don't know. When it comes to the camping thing, by the way, Morley, the reason it looks really booked up is because the system is rigged. In order to get the weekend you want, you can book up to 21 days in advance, as long as it's a continuous booking. So when the spots open up, you can book 21 days in advance, and then 3 weeks later you cancel. Say you wanted a weekend, so you have 21 days. You have to book 21 days, but it's free to cancel if it's 6 months in advance. So it's only looking booked up. My father waited an extra 2 weeks and was able to get 3 campsites in Murphy's Point or something. One of the campsites. Cool. It's because
you
the
just have
system
to wait
is
until
broken.
a week out.
Right. Well, no, you just need to wait 2 more weeks after, and then they all open up again.
But I'm saying you have to wait until you are a week away from your anticipated date.
No, my dad just booked for August. You have to wait 3 weeks after it opens.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember what I was gonna say.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I last year I was thinking going to Workbench Con would be so much fun, but the thing that appeals about it the most to me is seeing everyone, and I actually don't know if I would care at all about the workshops. So I don't know if I would really be able. It seems like a blast, but I don't know if I would actually go. I just can't envision what I would get out of it workshop wise. I would just want to go on.
I definitely think you would.
Bye, Stefan.
Because there's. Oh, bye. I definitely think you would get more out of it than you think, because I know you like to listen to advice from people who are successful, and these are successful people sharing their lessons learned.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can only take so much of how to succeed as an influencer on YouTube stuff. I don't really like those kind of conversations. Isn't Workbench Con focused on content creation and that sort of thing? I mean, anyone in the chat that's been, correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know. I've heard different things. I think you can make it differently because I think they got multiple sessions going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of pick and choose on what experience you want to have.
Right.
So I think that's something that I think, like, because they're going to be talking to sponsors is one thing, right? Like how to talk to sponsors is a different person than how to, like Paul Jackman did a thing about, his trebuchet build was basically for Workbench Con, and it's there's a whole bunch of different things. I think Workbench Con, I think you'd get a lot out of it without realizing it.
Okay.
If you go, if you're planning, let me know.
Okay.
We
Well,
can
it wouldn't be
split hotel.
happening until February of next year, right? Because isn't it in February?
They might be having one in 2021
Oh, okay.
at a different time.
And when is Makers Camp happening again? That's October?
Yes, I'm definitely going to that.
Nice.
And if you want to split, let me know.
All right. I have to think about that.
Cool. Well,
Cool.
I think it's about time. Unless
All
there's
right.
more questions. I haven't been watching.
No, I don't think so. I think we should say goodbye to everyone and thank you for hanging out in the chat and watching on YouTube. This has been super cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
And my internet didn't stuff
surprisingly-
up. Yay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it actually, we didn't have crazy lag problems.
No.
either. Maybe
My
we should use, Skype every time.
Maybe.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, YouTube
All right.
has said good connection the whole time. I haven't had any issues of drops or anything, which is awesome. All right.
all right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. It was
everyone.
a lot of fun.
Thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes.
Bye. I'm eating birthday cake as I speak.
All right. Are we done? Is this done?
Yep, there we go. I clicked end stream.